Hello dears. So I actually just did an entire video for this subject for week 8, which is, do you have or how do you find your matron or patron, god or goddess? And it turns out I just deleted the whole thing. It didn't record properly and I had a lot to say. I'm going to try to remember what I said and what I was trying to talk about, which might be a good thing because I think I got a little bit ranty at the end. I don't know what happened there. It was like a technical thing, but anyway, this is, week 8, and I'm trying to catch up again. It's still Saturday. I apologize. It's late on Saturday for some of you guys, but it's, early evening for me, so it doesn't matter so much to me. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you guys is that right now I don't really have a matron goddess. And what I wanted to do was discuss how I came to this point and where I'm heading and where I've come from. Mostly to kind of discuss whether or not it's necessary to have one. And my stance right now is that no, it's not. But it certainly can be very rewarding too. So I'll start with explaining that I think having a matron goddess is something that it's very personal. It's something that takes a desire to work with someone that you will never truly be able to comprehend. That can be a huge source of guidance, but also can be a hindrance to yourself. And I don't say that in any form of disrespect. I say that they could be a hindrance because you could find yourself focusing too much on honoring them without remembering that this is for yourself. That you don't necessarily need to venerate them to be on the end of the earth without also remembering that, you're not just doing that because you want to, but also because you hope that they will like you back. And that's always been kind of my issue with religion, especially like the typical religions, the God-fearing ones, where they worship with fear, and I don't feel that the gods and the goddesses really want you to do that. The Bible, if you're a Christian, a lot of people I find are terrified of not being incredibly respectful or correct when they address their God. And I think part of that's because he's a man, so he has aspects of a tyrant that, he says in if you read the Bible, he says he should be feared, but he also should be loved, and it's kind of like an uncomfortable dichotomy for me that I don't like. That never appealed to me, that it would lead me to feel that there's a lot more to it than that. But the rewarding part of it is that when you do find a goddess or a god, if you do find one that you truly connect with, it can be extremely rewarding. And as well as that, the path to finding one can also be very rewarding as well, because there's so many aspects of all of these goddesses that you can relate to almost. You can relate to anything. Like, you need a goddess for strength. There's thousands of them that you can, in theory, that you could find that you might be able to identify with, that could help you be stronger, that could look out for you and give you strength and make you feel connected and strong and loved. There are, hundreds of goddesses of fertility if you find yourself drawn to that. Goddesses of love, goddesses of war, goddesses of strength, goddesses of divinity, goddesses of any subject you could possibly think of, goddesses of the hunt, goddesses of wine, goddesses of sex, goddesses of love, goddesses like lust, anything that you really want to work with is at your disposal. They are there, and even if you go with the idea that there's really only one goddess and that she has all these aspects, which I'm totally up for, that I haven't really gone that route, but I know witches that do, that gives you even more leeway. Maybe that you don't need a matron or a patron that you necessarily work with, but just herself in general, her entire goddess aspect is all of the goddesses, and those are just personifications of her, or ideas or interpretations of her. You can work easily with that. In the past, I did work with Demeter, I worked with Persephone, and I worked with Venus. And the main reason for those three that I kind of worked with on and off in over the past, over a 5-year period, I guess, was because that was where I was needing a strong woman's help. And I was needing someone that personified love and lust and desire, but also sorrow, as well as I needed a mother figure that I could talk to, that I could meditate with, that I could find myself somehow someday becoming like her. Like Demeter, I think, is one of the strongest goddesses, not because she's a goddess of strength, but because, you know, Demeter and Persephone, if you know anything about their story, that's kind of a hard issue, and because of her, you know, we have the harvests, we have winter, and the earth is the way it is because of her, and that's fascinating to me, as well as really heartening as well, because knowing that they sometimes will share the same struggles as we do makes them a lot more real and loving, and she's a loving mother that had to give up her daughter to the king of hell, essentially, when she really didn't want to, and it tore her apart for a while, but she ended up using that destructive feeling to recreate the earth, in a sense that, you know, over those months of her being away from her daughter comes this good renewal of the earth, which leads to this beautiful bounty in the summer and fall, and I love that. But I will say that the main reason that I worked with these specific goddesses was because they were what I needed at the time. During those years, I was dealing with bad relationships, both with friends and with lovers. And I hate to say it that way, but it's, you know, I actually found myself in love with somebody that I could never be with, that I eventually realized was not real love, that I thought was real was not, and that I was not actually in love with the person, I was in love with the idea with the person, and that I kind of came to that realization with her help, especially with Venus's help, you know, calling on her for advice, you know, kind of talking to women that I felt were her embodiment, meditating with her, communicating with her. I found myself finding signs everywhere, because I find to be one of the very responsive goddesses. If you reach out to her, she's pretty, it might take her a while, but she's pretty good about actually responding. And I don't know if that's just because I felt like she cared about what I needed. Like, I wasn't asking, you know, find me a boyfriend. I was saying, how do I get myself out of this situation? You know, how do I get through this? And she proved to be someone that tested me, that helped me grow too, not just spiritually, but emotionally and romantically, because I learned a lot over those years about what I want in a person, as for myself and for who I'm going to be with and who I want to be in a relationship, and what love actually is like and what it should be like, not what I want it to be like. And she gave me a lot of challenge. You know, I went through so much over those years, but she didn't necessarily hand it over to me like, here, okay, I'm going to fix it. No, she was kind of like, here's one way out. Here's a friend that's going to give you advice. Here's some symbols. Here's some signs. Here's my actual answer. And none of it was very, here, your issue is solved. It was more like, here's a way through it. And the same with Demeter. She helped me through a relationship that was very bad and very not loving. She helped me see that the ending of it was good. And in a way, I think those three together, working with them so closely, brought me to the relationship I'm in now, which will be my forever relationship. And So in that sense, they were there when I needed them, and that is one benefit of having someone that you can work with, is that you have someone to go to home to at the end of the day and say, here's an offering, this is what I have to say, listen to me, I need your help. You know, and I love you, you understand me, listen to me, and I need your help with this. And sometimes it can be hard if you don't necessarily have anyone specific. You might find yourself, you know, calling out to somebody that you don't really connect with yet. And sometimes for me personally, I feel myself not doubtful, but uncomfortable with that sometimes. You know, I'm being like, oh, well, I looked you up, I know what you're about, I've read about you, I'm interested in talking to you about this issue. How can I get in contact with them? I look up how to get in contact with them, I contact them, and then I feel kind of like, well, I'm just annoying them. You know, I don't have a relationship with them, and you have to, I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to, maybe you guys don't feel that way, but I feel like I need to, when I work with the goddess, I tend to want to work with them closely. And so right now I'm not. I moved away from the situations where I needed help. I still honor them. I honor every goddess, really. All of my offerings and my rights are for all of them. Not just the 3 that I worked with before, but for everyone that I have not met, have not talked to, have not communicated with, have not heard of, have not studied closely, who have not venerated. I try to encompass my love for all of them, my appreciation, so that in the future, if I do want to work with one of them, not to say that they'll know who I am, but they might recognize my spirit reaching out to them because I've already reached out. But honestly, right now, I'm not in need of help in that regard. So, like I said, I'm just reaching out to all of them in a loving manner, but also I'm focusing more on the seasons. I'm focusing on nature right now and identifying with that. That's my matron is nature right now. My matron is the earth. I have a plant that I'm slowly keeping alive, learning to garden and learning to be more herbal, because I was not born with a green thumb. My mother has it, my grandfather had it, everybody else in my family seems to, but I kill plants pretty badly. But I'm learning to love them and take care of them, and that's been my project. My matron, I should say, is my plant that I'm desperately trying to help grow and love, and they're my friends. And, you know, that might evolve. I might find someone else I want to work with that I need to work on with my studies of my cultural influences that from my heritage, you know, Celtic, British, Norse, you know, those pantheons I'm studying right now. Maybe I will find another goddess at some point that I reach out to and want to have a personal relationship with, but right now that's not the case, and I'm perfectly okay with it. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll be seeing you shortly for week 9, I promise, as well as a few other videos on a couple other subjects that I'm excited to discuss with you guys. Hopefully I will find that time to actually get those done. Probably will be around Wednesday, that's my next day off. So I'll be seeing you then. Bye, babies.